has some of the highest insurance rates in the nation, but residents of Melbourne, Florida enjoy a lower cost of living than many other places. This week, I'm going to go over all of the pros and cons of living in Melbourne, Florida in 2023. If you're new here, my name's Alexandra and I'm a local realtor down on Florida's Space Coast. If you have any questions about what it might be like to live here in Melbourne, Florida, go ahead and give me a call, shoot me a text message, or send me an email. I've got your answers and I would love to chat with you. And if you want to keep seeing videos like this, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. All right, let's get into it. I usually like to hear bad news first, so we're going to start out with the negatives of living in Melbourne, Florida. Con number 1, higher insurance costs. Florida has the most expensive auto insurance in the United States. According to Insure.com, the average premium in the state of Florida is $2,560, which is a 23% increase since 2021. Why is it so much higher in Florida, you ask? Over 20% of drivers in the state of Florida do not have auto insurance. More uninsured drivers equals higher auto insurance costs. Additionally, Florida is packed with high-risk drivers, such as the elderly, tourists, and college students. Weather is also a large factor contributing to higher premiums, and Florida is prone to both hurricanes and hailstorms. Florida also has some very high homeowners insurance rates. You've probably seen in the news about all the home insurance companies pulling out of the state of Florida and people having difficulties finding homeowners insurance. If you want to hear more about Florida's homeowners insurance crisis, I'm going to put a link to a video about that right here where I go into more detail. Here in Melbourne, on average, homeowners pay between $1,700 and $5,000 for home insurance on a home of about $300,000. You'll pay a lot less in homeowners insurance if you buy new construction, though. I just helped a buyer close on a home in the high $300,000s, and she will be paying about $1,200 in her homeowners insurance, which is a great rate. On number 2, it's hot, and the sun is intense here. Let's pause for just a moment and appreciate the perfect timing of this. Today it's in the 90s with a real feel of 105 degrees Fahrenheit and a humidity level of 80%. Crazy hair days are very common during the summers here in Melbourne, Florida. All right, let's press on. Because Florida is so close to the equator, it receives stronger sunlight than the rest of the country. A lot of people don't know this, so they'll come down here to go house hunting, go to the beach for a little while, realize that they forgot some sunscreen, but decide that's okay, we're only going to be here for a few hours, and then they get burnt to an absolute crisp, ruining the rest of their trip. When you move here, sunscreen is your friend, and if you don't already have a dermatologist, you will definitely want to establish with one here. On number 3, rude neighbors on the internet. If you're thinking of moving to Melbourne or have recently moved to Melbourne and have decided to post about it in one of our local neighborhood Facebook groups, you'll probably be met with a lot of comments saying, "Go back to where you came from," or "We're full, we don't want you here." If you want to avoid this, come and join my New to Melbourne Facebook group. I will put a link down below in the description. We'll welcome you with open arms, and nasty behavior is not tolerated. Also, don't let this rude internet behavior deter you from moving here. Your real neighbors will be much more welcoming and may even be recent transplants themselves. Speaking of rude neighbors, let's talk about crazy neighbors. Con number 4, Florida man. You see the articles in the news and you see Florida man all over your TV like he's some sort of urban legend. Well, I'm here to tell you that Florida man is real and he lives right here in Melbourne, Florida. You may encounter him at the grocery store, at the gas station, or even while waiting in traffic at a red light. Florida man also has a girlfriend, Florida woman. Honestly, there is no avoiding the crazies because a Florida man lives everywhere in Florida. Our year-round warm temperatures attract a larger transient population and all of the negatives that can come along with that. Florida man encounters are usually quite entertaining, but every once in a while they can leave you feeling a little unnerved, and that is deterrent enough for some to moving to the state of Florida at all. I'm just popping in here to say thank you so much for watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. It'll help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers on my channel, and it would mean the absolute world to me. All right, let's get back to the video. Moving on to con number 5, lack of new construction and bad flips. Melbourne, Florida experienced some major growth in the 1960s with the introduction of the space program. So a lot of our homes here are older. While there is some new construction here in Melbourne, mostly in Viera, there's not much. Most homes are resale homes or homes that have been pre-owned. Some of these homes are absolutely stellar and have been well maintained, and some of the homes have not been well cared for or might be what I like to call a lipstick on a pig flip. Unfortunately, investors like to buy up cheaper homes that are in disrepair, slap on some new paint and do a few things very poorly, and then try and sell them for a lot more money. This is where working with a realtor will become very useful to you. And our last con is lack of nightlife and dating scene. Melbourne has plenty of fun bars with live music. We have some breweries, we have nice restaurants to go out to, and we even have places where you can do a little bit of dancing. But if you're looking to go do some major clubbing and some major bar hopping, you'll need to travel up to Orlando for that. I also want to add that if you are single and dating, you probably won't have as much luck here in Melbourne, Florida as you would in a larger city, simply because our population is smaller, and therefore you're going to have a smaller dating pool. All right, now let's get into the good stuff. Pro number 1, Melbourne is growing. Because Melbourne is growing, we have some awesome new attractions for both locals and tourists. We've got Margaritaville being developed along the Indian River, which should be ready for opening in summer of 2025. We also have Laguna Beach, a man-made crystal lagoon being built. And most excitingly, drumroll please, we're getting a Whole Foods. Whole Foods is going to be located in Viera and is expected to open in 2024. In the interim, you'll have to settle for Sprouts, which opens this August, or Fresh Market. So with Melbourne's growing population, you're probably wondering about the traffic. That leads us into pro number 2, lack of traffic. While Melbourne is growing, which means more traffic here is nothing like it is in larger cities. I used to sit in traffic for about 2 hours to travel just 7 miles in San Diego, and the average commute time here is about 25 minutes. So when you see people complaining about Melbourne, Florida's crazy traffic, you're hearing from locals and people that have been living here for a long time and have just been experiencing Melbourne's growth. These people likely have no experience whatsoever commuting in larger cities. Because if you're from a larger city, I guarantee you're going to be like, wow, there's almost no traffic here. It's so easy to get around. Next, we have pro number 3, lower cost of living. The cost of living in Melbourne is about 2% lower than the national average. Now, before anyone comes for me saying, the cost of everything is going up and things are so expensive, this isn't true, the cost of living is outrageous. This is true, but this is true everywhere. The cost of living is going up everywhere. In fact, the cost of living in Melbourne went up about 1.5% from last year. To give you some comparisons, in Miami, prices went up about 2.9% from last year, and Miami's cost of living is about 15% over the national average. In New York, prices went up 1.6% from last year, and the cost of living is about 77% higher than the national average. All of this is to say that yes, prices are going up, but the overall cost of living in Melbourne remains significantly lower in comparison to other places across the United States. This one's my favorite. Pro number 4, rocket launches and bioluminescence. Here in Melbourne, you can watch rocket launches from your own front yard. You don't even have to go up to Cape Canaveral to watch the rockets launch. You can see them pretty much anywhere. And did you know that the Space Coast is one of the few places in the entire world where you can see bioluminescence out in nature? If you don't know what bioluminescence is, that is when you run your fingers through the water and it glows light blue. It is super cool. The rocket launches and bioluminescence are absolutely the top 2 things that make Melbourne one of the most awesome places to live in the world. Pro number 5 is Melbourne's central location. Not only is Melbourne located in central Florida, making places like Miami, Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville just a short day trip away, but Melbourne is also located in central Brevard County. In the center of the county, you'll have quick access to several hospitals, the beaches, the zoo, awesome shopping, and the Space Center is just a quick drive north. And finally, pro number 6, Melbourne's mayor. If you're into local politics, Melbourne has an incredible mayor that really cares about the city and his constituents. Actually, when he was first elected, he discovered the theft of tax dollars out of the reserve fund from other elected officials. He immediately requested an audit from the state, which then uncovered a shady land deal. Because of this, he has successfully implemented checks and balances and strong fiduciary policies to prevent future political corruption. I think my two favorite things about him are, number one, he is constantly posting on his Facebook page about things that are going on in the city. Good things, bad things, what he's up to, what's coming up next. It really helps you stay in the loop. The second thing is that a lot of politicians are politicians through and through. You ask them questions and they give you very roundabout answers. The mayor of Melbourne is not like that at all. He's just like talking to another person. He really does care about his city. Well, that's about all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Bye!